everyone. I am B. Shobarani from the Department of Biology, Vidyashram Pre-University College, Mysore. Hope you remember in my last session, I completed a very important chapter of your syllabus called Reproductive Health. So what am I going to deal in session 1 of today's session 1? I'll be dealing with a very important and interesting chapter of your unit 7 called Genetics and Evolution, and the chapter name is Principles of Inheritance and Variation. It's a very interesting chapter to be learned. What are we going to study in today's session? We are going to study about what is genetics, what is inheritance, and we are also going to study about a very famous scientist by name John Gregor Mendel, who is rightly called as father of genetics. And what was his experimental material? Why did he select that particular plant as his experimental material when there are so many other plants in the plant kingdom? And also we will be studying about some important terms and terminologies. Let me start with this session 1 of this very important chapter 5 called Principles of Inheritance and Variation. Have you ever wondered that an elephant will give birth to a baby elephant only and not any other animal? Have you ever not got this doubt? And also you might have come across dogs produces what? Pups that grow into dogs, and mango plants produces seeds that grow into what? That germinate into a mango plant, right? So I think all of us know that it's a saying that like begets like, right? So like begets like, that is every living produces offspring that resemble their parents in certain fundamental characters. So as I said, an elephant can give birth to a baby elephant, a dog can produce a pup, a mango plant can produce a mango plant only, right? That means to say that like begets like, that is every living that is produced on this planet Earth will resemble their parents in one or two characteristic features. Then what is that which is responsible for the transfer of the characters or the traits from the parents to the offspring? That is nothing but what we call it as gene. Right? What is gene then? What is genetics then? All that we are going to study in today's session. So we find sometimes similarities among the individuals or sometimes dissimilarities in the species, even in the races and the varieties of the breeds. Right? I think all of you can see this beautiful picture of a famous scientist, John Gregor Mendel. As I said in the beginning, he is rightly called as what? Father of genetics. Father of genetics. Hope you all know why is he called as father of genetics? For the tremendous contributions he has done in the field of genetics. All the idea present now what we are having about genes, it is all because of the wonderful contributions given by this famous scientist by name John Gregor Mendel. Now let us study a brief history of this very important scientist called as father of genetics. John Gregor Mendel was born in a poor farmer's family in a small town called Moravia. In Czechoslovakia. So he was born in a poor farmer's family. But though he was born in a poor farmer's family, he was very much interested in experimental science. He was very much interested in conducting experiments. And he selected one very important plant called garden pea. So the name of the material plant that he selected was called garden pea. The scientific name is Pisum sativum. Pisum sativum. So as I said, he was born in a small town called Moravia in Czechoslovakia, and he was very much interested in what? In experimental science, that is conducting experiments. And he conducted hybridization experiments on pea plants for a duration of 7 years, 7 long years. So he conducted what? The experiment for how many years? For 7 years. That is from 1857 to 1865. So 7 long years he conducted hybridization experiments on garden pea. But one very sad state of John Gregor Mendel is that his work was remained unnoticed to the scientific world, and he died in 1884. So when was he born? He was born in 1822, and as I said, he conducted the hybridization experiments on garden pea plant, which is called Pisum sativum, for 7 long years, that is from 1857 to 1865. As I said, his work remained unnoticed to the scientific world and he died in 1884. But in 1900, that is in 1900, his work was rediscovered. You may wonder who rediscovered Mendel's work, and his work was rediscovered by 3 very important scientists, one by name Hugo de Vries from Holland, and Karl Correns from Germany, and third one, that is Tischermark from Austria. So these were the 3 scientists who brought Mendel's work into light, and they formulated all the ideas that was given by John Gregor Mendel in the form of laws called Mendel's laws of heredity. They call them as what? Mendel's laws of heredity. So as I said, John Gregor Mendel's work remained unnoticed to the scientific world and he died in 1884. But his work, which he did on the field of genetics, was rediscovered by 3 very important scientists by name Hugo de Vries from Holland, Karl Correns from Germany, and Tischermark from Austria. And these 3 scientists conducted the experiments separately and obtained the results similar to what Mendel got the results. And one very important thing is the scientific world recognizes the significance of the outstanding contribution of Mendel's principles of inheritance in understanding the mechanism of inheritance. So that is why, and the present scientific world has honored him as what? Scientist. And also he has been rightly called as what? Father of genetics. Whoever contributes a lot to a particular field, just like Mahatma Gandhi ji has contributed a lot to our country for freedom, hence he is called as what? Father of our nation. In a similar way, John Gregor Mendel has contributed a lot to the field of genetics, hence the scientific world has honored him with what? Father of genetics. So this is a brief history of John Gregor Mendel. Hope you have understood brief history of John Gregor Mendel. Now let us understand what is genetics. What is genetics? Genetics is nothing but study of heredity and variation. What is heredity? It is a transfer of characters or traits from the parents to the offspring, and the differences that we come across is called as what? Variation. Now, as I said, similarities tend to increase between members of a family, that is the parents and the offspring. Sometimes you can also come across the differences also. That means every living organism possesses what? A set of characters by which it can be identified as a member of a particular species. So what makes a species possess certain set of characters? What is that which helps in the transfer of characters from the parents to the children? And that is what is dealing with a subject called genetics. As I said, genetics deals with what? Study of heredity and variation. Right. Now let us see what do we mean by genetics and what do we mean by inheritance and variation. So what is genetics? It is a branch of biology. As you know, it is a very important branch of biology which deals with what? Which deals with inheritance and variation of what? Characters from parents to progeny. So it is a branch of biology which deals with what? With the study of inheritance and variation of characters from parents to progeny. That is, the transfer of characters from the parents to children is called what? Inheritance. Right. and the term genetics was coined by Bateson in 1905. So what is genetics, children? It is nothing but a branch of biology which deals with the study of inheritance and variation, that is the transfer of characters from the parents to progeny, and the term genetics was coined by a scientist by name Bateson in 1905. Then what is inheritance? It is a process by which characters are passed from parents to offspring. So what is it? Inheritance or heredity is nothing but a process. What is this process all about? It is nothing but a process of transfer of characters from the parents to the offspring is called inheritance. Hope you have understood what is genetics. Genetics is nothing but a branch of biology which deals with the study of inheritance and variation. Inheritance is what? It is a process by which the characters or the traits, you can use one more word, characters can also be called as what? Traits. Transfer of characters or traits from the parents to the offspring. Then what is variation? Hope you remember in my previous session we have come across when we studied about asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction, the offspring that are born through sexual reproduction will have variation, and that will lead to evolution. So what is variation? Variation is part and parcel of this planet Earth. So variation is nothing but the differences. It is a degree by which offsprings differs from their parents, right? So changes are part and parcel of this universe. So variation leads to what? Variation will lead to evolution. That is the gradual changes that take place in a organism in due course of time. Hope you have understood the important concepts of this chapter. First and foremost is, as I said, this whole chapter is based on a concept called genetics and heredity. So what is genetics? It is nothing but a branch of biology which deals with the study of inheritance and variation. And what is inheritance? It is nothing, it is a process by which the characters or the traits are passed on from the parents to the offspring. What is variation? It is a degree by which offsprings differ from their parents. Now, moving on to the next part of this session, that is, as I said in the beginning when I was briefing up about John Gregor Mendel, he selected the garden pea for his hybridization experiments. Why did John Gregor Mendel select only the pea plant? There were so many other plants to select. What was the reason for John Gregor Mendel to select only the garden pea, that is the Pisum sativum, as his experimental material? As I said, he was very much interested in carrying on the hybridization experiment, and he conducted the hybridization experiments on garden pea, that is in the plant called garden pea, or what is the scientific name? It is called Pisum sativum. It is called Pisum sativum. Now, why did he select the garden pea? Because one reason was it can be easily cultivated in the garden. Hence the name, it is called garden pea. We also can grow this pea in our home gardens, right? So it can be easily cultivated in the garden. Next, very important is they have a short lifespan. They are actually annual plants. And also they are of true breeds, or you can say of pure lines. They are of pure lines or true breeds. That was also reason why he selected. And they have a short lifespan. He could conduct the experiment again and again on a good number of pea plants. And they show contrasting characters. As I said, they are true breeding or pure breeding. And he was able to come across contrasting characters. What do you mean by contrasting characters? Tall, what is the opposite for tall? Contrast means what? Opposite. For tall, what is the opposite? Dwarf. So this is called contrast. So he was able to get around 7 contrasting characters in his hybridization experiments, and that is the reason why he selected the garden pea, right? As I said, he was able to get almost 34 contrasting characters, but he selected only 7 varieties for his experiment. Though he got all the 34 contrasting characters, he did not select all the 34, he selected only the 7. And next very important reason for him to select garden peas, they were bisexual flowers. Oh, you know, bisexual flower will have both the male and the female parts, and it was easy for him. And this plant called pea plant exhibited both self-pollination and cross-pollination. That is, it was easy for him to go for self-pollination as well as cross-pollination. That is, this pea plant was a bisexual plant and exhibited what? Both self-pollination and cross-pollination. That was the reason. Then the flowers can be easily and artificially cross-pollinated. As I said, it can be easily cross-pollinated because it was a bisexual flower. So these were the reasons why he selected the garden pea as his experimental material. So as I said, what are the reasons for him to select garden pea as his experimental material? First very important reason is what? It can be easily cultivated in the home garden, and then they have a short life, that is they are also annual plants. Then they show several what? Contrasting characters. He was able to get how many? 34. But did he take all the 34 characters? No, he selected only 7 contrasting characters for his hybridization experiment. 7 contrasting characters. Then that was, as I said, they are pure breeding. They bear what? Bisexual flowers. So because they bear bisexual flowers, they exhibited what? Both self-pollination and cross-pollination. They were able to exhibit both self-pollination and cross-pollination. That is the reason why John Gregor Mendel selected the garden pea as his experimental material. Moving on to the next part of this important session, that is, what is the next concept we are going to study in this session? As I said, John Gregor Mendel selected 7 contrasting characters. 7 contrasting characters for his experiments. So what were their contrasting characters? So as I said, characters can also be called as what? Traits. First trait was, or the first character was with respect to height of the stem. Second character was the flower color. Third character was the flower position. And the fourth character was the pod shape. Pod means seed shape. The next, the pod color. Next, as I said, the seed shape. Then 7, the seed color. Right? Now, so what are the 7 contrasting characters he selected? 1, height of the stem. Second, flower color, flower position, pod shape. You can see, I'll show it in the next slide how a pod looks. Then the pod color, then the seed shape, then the seed color. So with respect to stem of the height, what were the contrasting characters? So the dominant here, again you have to remember that one very important term called dominant and recessive character. The character which expresses itself in the first generation is called as a dominant character. The one which is not expressed or it is suppressed by the dominant character is called as the recessive character. So maybe in your house you will have your brothers and sisters, one will be dominant and the other will be recessive. So the dominant will not allow the recessive to get the things whatever they want. So in a similar way, what do you mean by dominant character? The character which expresses itself in the generation, but and it will not allow the recessive character to be expressed. So what is recessive character? The character that is suppressed, not allowed to express by the dominant character is called as a recessive character. So you will understand these two terms very clearly when I deal with the other concepts of this chapter, right? Now with respect to dominant character, what is the contrasting character? For tall it is dwarf. So you can call it as opposites also, right? For violet, that is with flower color, violet, what is the contrasting character? White. Flower position, axial. For this it is terminal. Anyhow, I am going to show all these 7 contrasting characters with the picture, right? Then pod shape is inflated. For this, what is the contrasting character? Constricted. For green, that is the pod color. The contrasting character is what? Yellow. Opposite color is what? Yellow. Seed shape, round. For this, opposite is what? Wrinkled. Then seed color, yellow. That is, opposite is green. So these were the 7 contrasting characters which Mendel selected for his hybridization experiments. So what were the 7 contrasting characters? Height of the stem, tall and dwarf. Flower color, violet and white. Flower position, axial and terminal. Pod shape, inflated, constricted. Pod color, green and yellow. Then seed shape, round and wrinkled. Seed color, yellow and green. So you will understand these 7 contrasting characters with the beautiful picture I am going to show you in the next slide. Here you can see the 7 contrasting characters, right? So with respect to the form, seed form, so round, what is the opposite for this? Round, wrinkled. Then yellow, you can see here it is completely round, here it is wrinkled like this. What is the opposite for round? Round is one color with respect to shape. So round, opposite is wrinkled. Then yellow, color is yellow, opposite for this is green. Then flower color, as I said, white, opposite for this is violet. Then here you can see the pod, it is completely inflated. Pod means the whole, this one. Here you can see this is whole thing is called as a pod. So it is full. Here you can see it is constricted. So opposite for full is inflated. You can also use the word called inflated. For this, what is the opposite? Constricted, right? And pod color, yellow, here it is green. So one contrasting character is what? Round, wrinkled, yellow, green, white, violet, inflated or full or constricted, yellow, green. Then position of the stem, I says, position of the flower. Here you can see axial. Here you can see the terminal. Here you can see in the sides. What do you mean by terminal on the topmost? Right. So this is the position of the inflorescence. What about the stem size? This is tall. You can use a word called tall, or short, you can use a word called dwarf. So these are the 7 contrasting characters which he selected for his hybridization experiments. Hope you can understand the 7 contrasting characters with this beautiful picture. Moving on to the next very important term, let us learn about some terms and terminologies before we go deeper into this very important chapter called Principles of Inheritance and Variation. Let us understand some of the terms and terminologies, and all of us know that a very important term is gene. What is gene then? In other terms we use the word called gene is nothing but DNA. Hope you know what is studied in first PUC. Deoxyribose nucleic acid is one of the nucleic acid, right? Deoxyribose nucleic acid. So gene is nothing but DNA, and DNA is nothing but gene. But what is gene? What is that which is responsible for the transfer of characters or traits from the parents to the children? Why are we resembling our parents? To some extent, it is because of the transfer of genes from the parents to the children, and that is nothing but gene. So what is gene? It is a unit of heredity. What is a gene? It is a unit of heredity and contains what? Genetic information required for what? Required to express a particular trait in an organism. Trait, I say, it is nothing but a character. So what is a gene? How do we define the word called gene? It is the unit of heredity. Heredity is nothing but transference of characters from one generation to another generation. Through what? Through gene. So gene is the unit of heredity. It contains what? The genetic information that is transferred from the parents to the offspring. Right? Hope you have understood the word called gene. Now one more term you have to understand, that is called locus. Our plural form is loci. What is locus? Position occupied by a gene in a DNA. A specific region on the chromosome. As you know, chromosomes are nothing but the carriers of gene or the vehicles of heredity. We use the word called chromosomes as what? The vehicles of heredity or carriers of genes. So you can see the chromosome here. The particular position where the gene is located on, this is the chromosomes. As you can see in the picture, these are the chromosomes. So what is this? This is a gene. So what is a gene? What is loci? So locus means what? It is a particular specific position on the chromosome where the gene is located is called as locus. So this is you can see this is a specific region where the gene is located, and hence we use the word called locus. Here you can see these are called alleles. These two are called alleles. These we don't call it as alleles. What are alleles? A pair of similar genes. You can call it as a pair of genes. Gene will never occur in single. It is always occurring in pair. So a pair of gene, we call it as what? We call it as allele. Hope you have understood these two very important terms, that is called the gene and the locus. So what is a gene? It is nothing but a unit of heredity, contains genetic information required to express a particular trait in an organism. What is locus? It is a particular position or a specific position occupied by a gene in the DNA. Moving on to the next very important term. Already I told you what is an allele or allelomorph. These are the genes which code for a pair of contrasting characters. For example, when you take the stem height, allele for tallness is T and for that for dwarfness is T. But when you write the alleles for tallness, when you write alleles for tallness, we write it as capital T, capital T. When you write the alleles for dwarfness, you write it as small t, small t. You may wonder why should we write 2 times capital T, capital T. Here why should we write? As you say, this is called as dominant tall. This is called dominant tall. And this is called recessive dwarf. This is called recessive dwarf. What do you mean by dominant character? The character which expresses itself and it will not allow the recessive character to express itself. And what do you mean by recessive character? The character that is suppressed by this dominant character. We use a word called recessive. So always, as I said, a pair of genes. Allele means what? A pair of genes. Gene will not occur in single. So a pair of gene, and we should not write only small one t. Or here we should write one small t. We have to write capital T, small t, small t. That is always genes occur in pairs. Here you can see chromosome, allele 1 and allele 2. You call it as a pair of genes, right? Hope you have understood what are alleles. Alleles or allelomorph, these are the genes which code for a particular character or a trait, right? Next, again one more term you have to understand, homozygous and heterozygous. Homo means what? Similar. Similar pair of genes, or what do you call it? It is a condition in which the pair of alleles is similar. So when a pair of allele is similar, we use the word called homozygous. When the pair of alleles are dissimilar, we use the word called heterozygous. You can understand this. Capital T is called homozygous. These are the alleles which are similar. Here we use the word called, this is capital T, small t. This you use the word called hybrid tall. This is not pure tall, it is hybrid. This is called as pure tall, where both are capital T, capital T. Here you can see why do we use the word called hybrid? One is capital T and the other one is, it's a mixed variety. So capital T and small t. But this is, we use a word called hybrid tall. Why can't we use the word called hybrid dwarf? As I said, according to the law of dominance, the dominant character will not allow the recessive character to express itself. So it will suppress the recessive character from being expressed. So hence we use the word called hybrid tall. So what do you mean by homozygous condition? Homozygous condition is a condition where in which a pair of allele is similar. That is capital T, capital. Here you can see capital T, capital T. It is a condition in which a pair of allele is dissimilar. Capital T, small t. Here you can see homozygous, here you can see heterozygous. Hope you have understood these two terms, that is about homozygous condition and heterozygous condition. Then moving on to the dominant factor and recessive factor. What do you mean by dominant factor or dominant character? Already I told you. What do you mean by dominance? Expressing itself. So what is it? It is a character of an organism which expresses itself in the first filial generation. What is filial generation? Again, anyhow I am going to explain that. First filial generation, it is a hybrid obtained by crossing two plants. That is, it is a hybrid obtained by crossing two plants and it is called the first filial generation, right? Suppressing the other character. So what is dominant character? It is the character of an organism which expresses itself in the first filial. So we use the word called F1. F1 is called first filial generation. First filial generation, right? And F2 is called second filial generation. Second filial generation. You might have heard about first generation and second generation. So when we cross capital T, small t, the gametes will be, here the gametes will be capital T, here the gametes will be capital. So when you cross it, you get this. So this is called F1, first generation, and this is called as what? Hybrid tall. When you go for F2, F2 is obtained by crossing F1 into F1. F1 into F1, that is capital T small t into capital T small t. So this is called F1 generation, this is called F2 generation, right? So what is dominant character? Here you can see that according to the dominant law of dominance, here we call it as hybrid tall. Why don't we use the word called hybrid recessive dwarf? Because here we can see whenever you come across a word called capital letter, that means that is dominant. So this is dominant, this is hybrid tall, this is called hybrid tall. If it is capital T, it is called pure tall. Then small t, pure dwarf, it is called pure dwarf. So these are all the terms and terminologies anyhow we are going to come across in the remaining concepts what I am going to explain in the coming session. So then you will be able to understand in detail about this F1 generation, F2 generation, checkerboard or Punnett square, all those very important concepts of this chapter. So what do you mean by dominant character? It is a character of an organism which expresses itself in the first filial generation, suppressing the other character. What do you mean by suppressing? It will not allow the other. Which is other character? It is nothing but the recessive character. Which is a recessive character? Here for example you have taken tall character. What is a character? Stem height. What is a contrasting character? For tall it is dwarf. Right, suppressing the other character means suppressing the dwarf character. Hope you have understood what do you mean by dominant character. Moving on to the next very important term called recessive factor or recessive character. As I said, it is a character of a plant which does not express itself in the first filial generation. So, in presence of the dominant character, the dominant character will never allow the recessive character to express itself in the first filial generation. So, the one which is suppressed by the dominant character is called as a recessive character. As I said, how do we write here? Capital T is called dominant. Dominant tall, we use a word called dominant tall. Small t, we use it as what? Recessive. This we call it as recessive dwarf. So this character, dwarfness is called recessive character and tallness is called as dominant character. So this will not allow this character to express itself in the F1 generation. That is what you have seen. When you cross a tall plant with a dwarf plant, you get a hybrid tall, right? Right. So what do you mean by recessive factor or recessive character? It is the character of a plant which does not express itself in the first filial generation in the presence of a very important point, that is in presence of a dominant character. Example, a pea plant with the genotype capital T small t. Here as I said, this is called pure tall and small t is called dwarf. Then capital T small t is called hybrid tall. So here this is a hybrid tall. As I said, a pea plant with the genotype capital T small t becomes tall as the gene of the dwarfness small t does not express in the presence of the dominant gene called T. So the capital T will not allow the small t to express itself. So the one which is expressed is called dominant and the one which is not expressed and it is suppressed is called recessive factor, in very simple terms to understand. Moving on to the phenotype and genotype. These are also very important terms to be learned so that you can understand this chapter very easily. All these terms and terminologies first you have to understand. Then only you will be able to understand the other concepts of this chapter called principles of inheritance and variation. What do you mean by phenotype? The external appearance of an organism. So as I think in the previous slide, here only you can see, that is tall plant. How do you say it is tall? By seeing the height. So the visible external feature, the visible external morphological feature, you use the word called phenotype. Phenotype. For example, this is capital T. One more is capital T small t. This is called genotype. Phenotypically this is tall, but genotypically this is hybrid. This is what? Phenotypically tall and genotypically also pure tall. This we use the word called pure tall. This you call it as hybrid tall. Hybrid. Hybrid means what? Mixed. It's a cross between two plants varying in contrasting character. So phenotype means what? The visible. The tallness is one character, right? So the visible character, dwarf means you can see if the plant is very short, we call it as a dwarf plant, right? So by seeing the external morphological features, you are going to assess the appearance of an organism. So the external appearance of an organism is called phenotype. What do you mean by genotype then? It is the genetic makeup of an organism. So here I said capital T, capital T, capital T, small t. This you use the word called hybrid tall. This we call it as pure tall. Both are tall. This is also tall pea plant and this is also tall pea plant. How do we say these are tall pea plant? By seeing the stem height. Both are tall. But this is pure tall and this we call it as hybrid tall. How do we assess it? So genotypically only we will be able to assess that it is a hybrid tall. So the genetic makeup of an organism is called genotype. So capital T, small t, how do you assess? Here we call it as genotypically this is a hybrid. Genotypically this is hybrid. But phenotypically it is a tall plant. Phenotypically it is a tall plant. Phenotypically it is a tall plant. Hope you have understood the two very important terms called genotype and phenotype. What is genotype? The external appearance of an organism. And what is genotype? It is the genetic makeup of an organism. Hope you have understood all these very important terms and terminologies. So moving on to the next very important concepts what we are going to study in the coming session. Hope you have understood the introductory part of this very important chapter 5 of your syllabus called Principles of Inheritance and Variation. So what did we learn in today's session? We studied about what is genetics, what is inheritance, what is variation, and also we studied about John Gregor Mendel and how his work was brought into light by three very important scientists, and they formulated the ideas of Mendel in the form of laws called Mendel's laws of heredity, and all the basis for the study of genetics is based on the study that was contributed by John Gregor Mendel, and hence he is rightly called as what? Father of genetics, right? And we also studied about very important terms and terminologies like what is gene, what is inheritance, what is variation, what is an allele, what is dominant character, what is recessive character, etc., etc. In my coming session, we are going to study about what do you mean by hybrid, what do you mean by co-dominant, what do you mean by incomplete dominance, right? And what do you mean by F1 generation? I already have briefed up about what is F1 generation and F2 generation. So what are we going to study in the coming session also? We are going to study about Mendel's laws of inheritance. As I said, all his ideas that were formulated, they were formulated in the form of laws called Mendel's laws of inheritance, right? Then we are going to study about the inheritance of one gene, which is also called as monohybrid cross. Which is also called as monohybrid cross. There's one more called dihybrid cross, which I am going to deal in the coming sessions. Hope you have understood the important concepts what I have taught in today's session, right? So hope you have understood the introductory part of this very important chapter called Principles of Inheritance and Variation. Till then, till we meet in the next session, goodbye and thank you.